component, we need to consume the data and we need to present the data. Let's create one component where we can create an UI for presenting and interacting with the data. So let's see that. So how we can consume and present the data. So let's create one component. So ng generate component. I will say consume data. Consume data. So that is the component. So or consume API. Consume API. That is the component. I will just reasonably queue consume data. Okay, skip test. True. Okay. Okay. Now a component is added here. So let's go and keep that component in the startup. So that is consume data component. Okay, let's keep this in the startup. So index.html, and here we are defining consume data. We are configuring consume data. Okay, and that is in the startup. We configured in the startup. So let's load that here, localhost 4200, and consume data is working. Now here in this component, let's go to that component. Let's go to the consume data component. And here we need to present the data. That means we need to consume the data coming from that service and present the data. How do we present the data? That is the easy work we already know. So what we have to do here, so we have to create a data. Okay, it is of what type? API data service. Data is of API data service. Okay, I will create here. So public products. Products is an empty array. Whatever data comes from that API, we will store that into products. How we can access that? So what we have to do is on initialization, this dot data dot get products. Get products is a method. It is a service method. This service method is returning the data. But actually, this service method is an asynchronous method. It is an observable. It is an asynchronous method. To execute the asynchronous methods, we use the function subscribe. Subscribe is used to execute the asynchronous methods. It will execute, and through a callback method, it will return the data. Through a callback method, it will return the data. And I will use a simple lambda expression. Data is a parameter. This data parameter contains the data returned by this particular method. This data need to be assigned to the products array. Then this dot products is equal to data. We will assign the data to that. I am just using a lambda expression. That means subscribe is a method which executes the asynchronous method, and whatever data returned by that method, it will be stored inside this data parameter, which is assigned to the products array. That means now whatever data coming from API, it is present in that products array, and we need to just present the data. I will go to consume data component HTML, and here we need to present the data. I will just use div class as container fluid. Okay, and here I will add a div. So class as a row, and a div a class as call3, and another div. Here we have a class. So class called call some 9. And here I want to present the data. Then I will give here a simple products list, and I need to display the data in a table. So let's keep a class as a hover table, and a table hover. Okay, and here we have a T head and T arc and TH. This is expecting name and a price. Okay, we need to present in the table body. So we need to generate a row. This row should repeat. So I'm using ng for it should repeat. So ng for let item of so collection is products, and in the cell we need to bring item dot name, and enter is item dot price. So whatever the data is coming, we are configuring it, and you can see that here the data is ready. So whatever data is available, the data is coming here and it is displaying here. That is what actually the data available in our API. So this data we are consuming and we are presenting. So that means everything is working fine. It is coming from and it is returning the data. It is returning the data. This is call 9. Okay. It is accessing and returning the data. This is the data. So data we are accessing from an API and we are presenting the data. And of course, we need to create a method. We need to create a UI from where we can insert the data. We can insert the data. So we can create an UI for inserting the data. That means in the left column, so we will create a heading. So register product. Okay. And here I am adding a div. Okay, class as some form group. And here I am adding a form. Okay. And this form is defined as FRM register, a template driven here, and it is ng form. Okay. And form method is on post. Form method is post. Okay. On post, we need to send the data. How we send the data, I will show that, right? Initially, we need some options here. So we will use a data list with the data term. So one is name and data definition. Input type is equal to text. Class is equal to form control. Form control is equal to form control. And here, so we need to define a model. So the name is name, and ng model. So we configure hash name is equal to ng model. That's what the data type it is expecting. So we need another data term. So that is for price, another text box. So input type is equal to text, and class is a form control, and the name is price, and here ng model, and hash price is equal to ng model. That's what the type of data we are expecting. And below this, I will just keep a button, and let's put a class as btn and btn primary, and add as register. And this is inside the form. That means it's a submit button. On the button click, the form will be submitted. On submit, we need to collect the data from the form and we need to send to API. That means here in our component, we need a method for adding the products. That means we have to create one method called register product. This method should collect the data coming from form. How we send the data from the form into this method already we learned. So we can use a submit event. On submit event, we will call register product. Into that, how we can send the form data. You can send the form data. So with frm register.value, you know that it is an object that contains the data. That means the key and values are present. That means